Hello there, I am Gifty Auntie and welcome to TSP with Gifty Auntie.
Who can deny Gifty?
No.
I don't think anyone should. Thank you for having me.
Yes, on TSP with Gifty Auntie, we do keep our promises. I promised you that we'll bring you part 2, and listen, you are in for, an amazing journey. We still have Her Excellency, Dr. Jewel Howard Taylor, former First Lady, former Senator twice, former Vice President of Liberia, and now a global icon and global citizen, because we are all pulling her. We want a bit of her with us in the studio, and we are going to go straight into discussion. It's an election year in Ghana. What's her advice for the women? As senator, how was it? As a woman who's now developed a desire and a passion to raise women leaders, how has it been? I am Ohineye Gifty Auntie. I'll be back. Welcome back to TSP with a Gifty Auntie, and we bring you part 2 of our discussion with Her Excellency Dr. Jewel Howard Taylor. Again, we say thank you to our sponsor, that's Old Mutual. An Old Mutual retirement salary plan is here to stay. Now you can retire on your own terms with a guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. Yes, this is true. Simply invest a lump sum into the Old Mutual retirement salary plan today and start receiving monthly income to enjoy the perfect retirement. It is that easy. The best part is you get to enjoy added benefits on an annual basis and increase every year. Call Old Mutual on 050-453-4333, 050-453-4333, or visit www.oldmutual.com, or simply dial *789 *01# to request a call. Obrapa Ahoto Enkwa. We also say thank you to Vena Mineral Water, Bigo Drink. Thank you to Sigma Health and Beauty for the makeup products, Mrs. Oforipoko and the family, All Cuisine, House of Food. Thank you so much to you. Yep Cleaning Services, they make sure our environment is clean all the time. And of course, juice time from the farm to the factory to the bottle to the shelf. They have the whole chain, and so you can trust that it is 100% when they see it's 100%. Talking and listening to you, I get the sense of a woman who is determined to break a certain stereotype, to prove a point that it is possible. Some women who had come from First Lady, then you go down to become a senator, they will see it as a demotion. I'm a First Lady, this is where I remain. But you come across as a woman who is not afraid to dirty her hands. It doesn't matter how high she's gone. If she has to be on the floor, sure, if that is what it takes, that is what she'll do. Because that's what I see you've done.
And it's about impact. It's an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of people. And the motto for the Jewel Starfish Foundation is making a difference one girl at a time. And being First Lady, you're at the peripheral of your husband's activities. You're not your own person. And some of the First Ladies that I've seen around the world are so feisty. They're so energetic. And stepping away from that into politics is easy because your name is already a household name. And I want to talk about Fatima Mada Bio. She's a sister of mine. I know she wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
She's been strong, making changes, making impact. You can imagine a Fatima Mada Bio as a senator of Sierra Leone, or a vice president, or even maybe one day being president. Because how do we make the changes? It's not being the wife of a president, which those changes can come, but you're limited to what you can do. Once you step into the parliament, you're making laws that will change the lives of women throughout your country.
You influence policy.
You influence policy. You influence thought processes. You influence how people believe, and you change perceptions.
Yes.
But when you become president, the laws are made at the legislature, but the president implements those laws. And he chooses which ones to implement and which ones not to. That's why I believe there should be more female presidents across Africa. Because at that stage, you're actually making some serious changes. Should our countries change? Yes. Are there things that we still have to do? Yes. A woman leader brings equality. She brings equity. She's looking for who are those strong women. Though I was in opposition in Madam Salif's government because their ruling party was the Unity Party. They had won election twice, and I served as an opposition senator. She knew that the women's voices had to come together. And so she reached out to me. I had heard of her as a young girl.
Right.
I hadn't worked with her before until she became president. So I didn't take my opposition to the point where I was left aside, because it's easy now to just put you in a corner and leave you aside. But she saw a strong young lady and she pulled me into it, and we worked together on many, many, many issues. So she helped me to fly because of the fact that she was opened to allow other women, even though we're opposition, you know, supposedly. And she said to us, once women get together, it's no longer about a party. It's about what can we do to transform the lives of women. And I've been a strong voice. I've been mentoring young girls. And I've sent thousands and thousands of young girls to school. Some of them are now finished with their masters. They're working. They're doctors. They're in so many different spaces. And I'm proud that someone can say, had it not been a Jewel Howard Taylor who decided to pay my tuition from 7th grade to the university, I wouldn't be where I am. And that is the impact we must make, whether it's in journalism and you're changing perceptions, because there are still a lot of perceptions. People believe that there are certain places that belong only to the men. And that women shouldn't bear. We've crossed those barriers. Madam Salif became the first female president. I'm so glad whatever happens, history will record that Jewel Taylor became the first female vice president. And that office became an active office for advocacy. And I wasn't quiet, and people would say, this is a new phenomenon, because the vice presidents are usually quiet, except maybe the president travels or you're asked specifically to do something. I was out there talking about issues, speaking on issues. I was very vocal. And so we changed the trajectory of what the vice president's office should be. Because you are also elected on a ticket. It's not the president alone. The two of you get elected. And in the end, if you have nothing that you've contributed, how do you step to the next level? People will ask you, so what did you do with the time? And I wasn't going to waste the time that I had. It didn't make people happy. And so when you talk to some people, oh, she's too much and she thinks she knows it all and she thinks she's this. But this is what women must do, because it's about impact. If we continue to make impact, if we continue to encourage, you know, Sister Gifty, girls learn what they see. Boys learn by doing. But girls, when you go to the kitchen to cook, your mother will say, put a pinch of salt. And I like that example because there's no measurement for a pinch of salt. Your mother will say, put a pinch of salt in the soup. And not knowing, you just do your hand and put it in the soup is salty. You learn over time what a pinch of salt is. If your mother says, make it not too sweet and not too sour, you learn by doing. And so little girls who see amazing women like you, amazing women in politics and in journalism and in science and in technology, shows them at the early age that indeed you can be whatever you desire to be. So those women who stand up must always leave a positive impact. Are we superhuman? No. Do we have our faults? Yes. Like I said yesterday, there's so many times I would go home, but I wouldn't cry until I get into my house. And then I'll start ranting and raving and carrying on. Do you know what they did to me today? But I would never let them see me sweat. The next day I'll get up, put on my makeup, fix my face, get dressed, and go back and try to make a difference in the thought processes and the governance of my country. And so who knows? But I believe the impact, if I had not been a good first lady, getting out of the idea of, oh, I'm on the arm of my husband, and leaving him where he was and going into the field to work, I would never have been senator. I would never have become vice president. So wherever I've gone by the grace of the Almighty God, and I want to give God praise on this platform, because had it not been for him, I don't think I would have come through any of this. I would have become governor of the central bank,
Yeah.
and that would have been it. And he said, look at her, she's playing. This is not where you're going. You have greater works to do. And so I want to praise him for his grace and his mercy and for all that he's allowed me to do. In addition to the many fathers that I have, and I have to give honor to Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, who is a father to me. He will call me on the phone. Jewel, what did I hear you have done? Then I have to explain. I said, no, Papa, it wasn't like that. Oh, he says, well, it better not be like that. You know better. So men like that have stood at my side and encouraged me, and I'm so grateful to have. My father died in the war, so he's taking the place of a father for me, and I'm so grateful. Being here in Accra, Ghana, I cannot finish talking about all of what I've done without actually saying thank you to him.
And we say, because of you, we can.
Amen.
Because of you, we too, we can. And one thing I've learned, from your, submission today is, as a women, we should not let anything divide us when it comes to the agenda of looking out for women. We should not let politics, we should not let religion, we should not let position, because Her Excellency Ellen Sirleaf Johnson saw you as an opposition woman, but decided to work with you. And you also decided, you could have also decided, no, I don't want to work with you. It's for my party. But you did. You did.
And it was important. And maybe one day we'll have a time to talk about what divides us. Because as I said yesterday, I get more support from males than I do from women.
Right.
My worst critics are the women. And those who you've raised, those who you've helped, they will come and say some of the worst things. And maybe that's God's way of keeping you grounded so that you don't think ever in your life that you've arrived. And that every day I get up and I know that I still have much more to do. And so with the cuts that I get under my feet or the fires that I have to walk through, you do it with calm, and you do it in a way where people believe it's not difficult to do, but it is. But there are things that divide us as women. If we make up almost 50% of the populations in our countries across the regions of the world, especially here on the African continent, can you imagine what we would do with our votes? But we'll be the champions for the males and leaving a woman on her own. We'll be the women cheerleaders in the different communities saying, women, oh women, let's vote for this man. That perception definitely has to change. Because if we would just come together and decide we're going to have half of the presidents in Africa to be women, we can do it by our sheer numbers. But they know that by the numbers we are stronger, but there's something that divides us. And I may not like what you look like. I may not like your dress. You may not like what I look like. You may not like the fact that I'm muffy. Like we used to say when we were growing up, my mother would say, you are too muffy. And some people say she talks too much, but I speak my heart and I go to bed and I sleep at night. But what are the things that divide us? We must find a way to begin to talk about it so that we can find a way to coalesce. I mean, my prayer is that one day women across Africa, across our nations will rise up and raise up women senators and women parliamentarians in their numbers. Then, and only then, with the things that we want, the things that are important to us, and they are quite different from the things that are important to men. Will the issues that are important to women come to the table? Because if a man tells you, I'm building a house, and every day he's in the shop buying new shirts and buying new cars, you know he's not building a house. So if you look at the national budget and there's money for cars and for trips and there's no money for maternal mortality, we're playing. More women are dying every year. And they'll make it statistics and say, we're trying, but there's nothing being done. If we're talking about girls must be educated and must be in STEM education, then the money must go into those areas. But if we're just talking on the peripheral and the vote comes and the men say, it's not important, you guys wait, then you have to either take it from your own pocket to make a difference. But it shouldn't be that way. As much as we have available for opportunities for males and females, somehow only the votes from women will make it to a level where our children will now begin to work and grow in the same sphere. So there's a lot of work we have to do if we come together.
Yes, at the African Women, Leadership Summit in Accra, you made a statement that scared me. You said, as things are now, it will take about 130 years, I think 35 years?
130 years.
130 years to reach equality. And that's scary. After
Because
all that has been done,
The percentages are very small incremental, 0.03% each year. So if you measure that by the number of years it would take us to get to a percentage where women are already almost at 50%, which doesn't make sense. It's an oxymoron. How can we make up 50% almost of the population, yet our numbers are below 30%? And that was a Beijing number many years ago. So it's going to take a lot of commitment, but we must be strategic. Instead of women, I remember running as vice president, and I said I will come across the region, and my fathers and the sons that I have and the brothers that I have will easily, oh, I'm running as vice president to president. Can you give us support? Oh, yes. I don't have $10. I'll give you $5. Easily, we know that you will be a strong vice president. So I will get all of the support. Whenever I reached to a door of a woman, it's a whole different thing. Oh, I don't know yet. We have to wait and see. But the opportunities are knocking. If you don't take advantage of it, it goes away. So somehow we have not yet gotten to the point where we actually support women. And so we are not doing better in business because that's how we are. Yeah. Women are struggling. They're barely making ends meet. Their businesses are barely making a profit. And they're struggling with that. How do we even get money for women to do more in more business? How do we get money for women to do more STEM classes? This is serious. And those decisions can only be taken when people are in the national legislature. That's why I keep saying, if we don't run faster, we will stay behind. And the men enjoy that. Because a man told me, oh, Mrs. Taylor, you were talking about things that are not real. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do the women support you? And I said, if the women had not supported me, regular women in the market, women whose children I've sent to school, women who I've engaged and talked about, this can no longer be about a table market. And I always use Ghana as an example. I tell them, when I go to Ghana, you turn a corner, you'll see a woman sitting, frying something, just by her coal pot. And she's putting it on a small table. If you pass 6 months later, that woman has a table with a mesh wire around it. By the time you pass in another year, she has a small container. Before you look, her business has grown to a shop. I said, but there is something missing here. What are we doing that we keep remaining? You'll see a woman who would be selling pepper at a market table. Her daughter will come and sell that same pepper. The daughter's daughter will come and sell that same pepper. And I think it's so sad. We can do something about it. But we have to find a way to get women to believe that what we're doing, if a woman is not in a space of influence, all women suffer. So it's better to have one woman in that space of influence than no one at all. So if you want to be a business person, be the best, but support someone who wants to be a politician because that is where the decisions are made.
Welcome back to TSP with Gifty Auntie, and we are having a conversation with Her Excellency, former Vice President of Liberia, Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Jewel Taylor, former First Lady of Liberia, twice Senator, former Vice President. You know me, that I love women of power and of influence. So let me just go on and on about it. And we are going to, how would your maiden name?
Yes, my
maiden name. Oh, so long ago, you were one of the women who insisted that your maiden name has to be there. Yeah, because your daddy paid your fees. I remember the story you told about the $250 he gave you when he didn't even know what you were going to study, but he did. And definitely a man who believed in education, right?
He's ensured that each of us, he had 7 girls and 1 boy.
Oh.
And so it wasn't the opposite where he had many boys and few girls. He had to send all of us to school. And so he worked double jobs just to make sure we got a proper education. Yeah. And I don't think anyone in among my siblings and I have less than 1 master's degree.
Wow.
So we're really in our different fields, from education to healthcare, to sociology, to politics, to telecom. We've gotten some real good degrees.
To the banker turned politician?
Yes, banker turned politician.
Well, let me say thank you to our sponsor. That's Old Mutual Retirement Salary Plan. The new order of retirement is here. Now you can retire on your own terms with a guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. Yes, you can simply invest a lump sum into the Old Mutual Retirement Salary Plan today and start receiving monthly income to enjoy the perfect retirement. It is that easy. The best part is you get to enjoy added benefit of an annual increase every year. Call Old Mutual on 050-453-4333 or visit www.oldmutual.com or simply dial *789*01# to request a call. Obrapa Ahoto Kwa. And again, I say thank you to Adepa Fabrics for my fabric, and then my dress is by Liran Collections. Thank you to Twinny Craft for my bead. Thank you to Sigma Health and Beauty for the makeup products. Makeup, yeah, I had to take off my spectacle for you to see my makeup. Is by the Glow Bar, and hair by Inshilo GH. Your Excellency, it's an election year in Ghana. Some of us were really excited when the NDC chose a woman to be running mate, because we had setting them, but we're glad that it was maintained that we have a woman there as a running mate. We're still waiting for the MPP to choose their running mate, but some few women to have passed through and become candidates, parliamentary candidates. Over the years, you know our stories. We've battled, but we still get very low numbers in parliament. What do you think, with your experience, what do you think the women going into election this year must do differently?
And I think that question goes to the constituencies. You will find out after 6 months and they've elected a male to represent their interests, everybody's already disappointed. So you have to look at what's happening in your area and decide that women are more committed, we are more intentional about our politics, and we go beyond the norm, which is the kind of leaders that we are actually looking for across the board. That's why I believe every woman, if there's a female or several females in your constituency, pick one of them.
Right.
And have a conversation with them. Sometimes those who get elected need a conversation. This is why we're voting for you. This is what we're hoping to see. And eventually you will continue to get better leaders. But if we keep electing all male constituencies, then we're going to have to continue to step back and say, we don't have enough in providing women credit. Why does it come to microcredit when you talk about women? Because in the minds of the men, women don't need much. A man can walk into a bank with nothing and get a loan of $50,000. And a woman will walk into that same bank and they'll give her microcredit. Why are we stuck with microcredit? How does it change?
Right.
By getting more female voices at that table where it is important. And so we need more funding for the things that women are doing, especially those who are doing amazing work in business.
Right.
How do we encourage women politicians? How do we encourage our mothers who are making shea butter? Shea butter has become the wave across the entire world. How come the women that are making shea butter, and I've seen the process, a very, very, very difficult long-term process, how come someone hasn't come up and said, let's go to China and make a machine that will help us do this thing quicker and make it better so that our women get a higher value?
Right.
I'm happy that countries like Ghana and the Ivory Coast have decided we're not selling our cocoa for peanuts. In fact, if you don't create your companies here, we're not selling to you at all. How much chocolate do we eat as Africans?
Yeah.
They want chocolate, but they want to take our raw materials for little or nothing. Every single beauty product that you find on the market has something called shea butter in it.
Yeah.
Made, created, worked. I mean, I've seen the work with people using their hands as machines. All of that work, I haven't seen the money going back to the women yet. And those are the issues that I believe women can bring to the table because they know what is happening. They know how difficult the women's journey is. And so I want to encourage the women of Ghana as you go to your elections in October, find female candidates, have conversations with them, tell them what your dreams and aspirations are, and hold them accountable. Thankfully, the elections here for the parliament is about 4 years. Very short.
Yeah.
So if a woman gets elected and she's not on her toes, then you find out that she may just go one term. But when you have that conversation, we have to have a new social contract with our lawmakers and hold them accountable. These are the 5 things we want you to do. And you tell them, well, I can't do 5, I can do 3. But there's an agreement so that they work through those problems and make sure that the constituencies continue to grow and develop. So I think we need leaders that are committed to the women's agenda, because it is definitely different. There are roads to be built, yes. There are factories to be put up, yes. What do women want? Which is not on the agenda across our nations of the world, especially on the African continent. Our agendas are not yet served. It takes a president like Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, or a Joyce Banda, or a Catherine Samapanza from the Central African Republic. Short terms to make impact. Yet, women will go and say, oh, we're going back to electing men. There's something wrong. And I think that psychic has to change. We have the votes. If we put more women together in the legislature, much more will come to benefit our own hopes and our own desires.
But Your Excellency, don't you think that the way women also portray themselves when they get in there to Parliament, the kind of work they are seen to be doing, also would help?
It does help. And that's why I said this conversation has to take place. Maybe some of the women who are voting don't even know what it takes. But the reason why the work that the women do are not highlighted is because their numbers are so small. You have to be almost a superwoman to keep your voice up at that level. People like Dr. Rawlings in the legislature. You see her, I'm following her on Instagram. You see her in the communities doing whatever it takes. She's gotten a program now for a clean stove. Making sure that her constituency, Senator Rawlings, making sure that the women are not cooking anymore on the coal pots that's giving women cancer, and now can have clean energy. That is what women do. But the numbers are so small, the impact, she wouldn't go across the entire Ghana. She has to be concerned about her constituency. So there will be changes only in that constituency. But can you imagine if you had in each constituency at least one woman elected? Because there are several seats. Can we start first with electing one woman in each of those regions so that the work that is done now flows over from one person to the other? Because I realized in the legislature, once I found out something that was good, I would go and talk to one of the senators. Hey, this is what I found out. This can be done in your constituency. Here's the number. Call these people. They will come and help you. Because a lot of it is connections and networking. But if you only have 2 women and senator gets the information, and the men are not concerned about whether it's clean stove or coal pot, all they know their food must be cooked. However it's cooked, it should be sweet on the table. But a woman is concerned. Why are women getting cancer from being cooks and sitting over that fume that comes into her mind? So if there were many more women like Senator Rawlings, can you imagine the impact across your country? So I think there's a 2 sides to the story. The first side is that the constituencies must begin to understand that women leadership is important and put their votes behind women leaders and then call them to a new agreement. We're electing you. This is what we want to see. And if there are many, the ripple effect can actually lift the women of Ghana.
Your Excellency, are we going for the presidency anytime soon?
Well, you never know what God's plans are. I'm still praying about it. I can say without fear or favor that my destiny is not yet at an end. That I think I still have a lot to contribute, not just to Liberia, to places across the continent. And I'm working now with women leaders across the continent, across the world. But it's one thing to impact at the higher level. When you become president of a country, your work is from the top to the bottom, and it gives you a little more space, because when you get home and your mother says, Medasi, to a daughter, that Medasi sits into your heart and you are so happy. You could get a lot of that outside. But when you come home and your mother says you've done very well, there is nothing more valuable than that.
Yes.
And so I look forward to one day becoming president of Liberia.
Amen to
I'm
that.
still praying about it. I don't know the time and the seasons. That is God's own plan. But I hope that I will also be given a chance to lead my nation and set the agenda the way it should be, so that it's not only about the big things.
Right.
It's also about how each woman, wherever she is across Liberia or wherever we find ourselves in the areas that we have to work, can now say, yes, finally, someone has come to the stage that understands that women need to be lifted. And it's not just the big things. You know, the men will come to power. I will fix all of the roads. I will bring an airplane and name it Ghana Airways or Liberia Airways. I will build these beautiful beaches and we'll do this and we'll do that. But the bread and butter issues are the issues that women are concerned about. And so a leader must be able to balance
the family.
It is important because the women actually hold the family together. Even if you have to work 3 jobs, you don't want your children out of school, or you don't want your husband to come and his house is upside down. So there are things that would really blow the minds of the women if they are part and parcel of the whole process. And as you go to elections, I'm looking to hear, what is the agenda for the women? And whoever can come up with an agenda to lift the women at the lower level, then that is the person that you have to go with. It's no longer about, if you fix a road and I can't even afford to take a taxi on that road, how does it benefit me? You could build a big hospital. If I have no access to go into that hospital to get medical care, it doesn't mean anything to me. What is important to me as a woman is to also bring my 50%, because we're asking for 50% in leadership. It must come across the board. Women want to do more for their families, want to do more to sustain the lives and the energies of their children. How do we do it in a way that is not back-breaking and difficult? It shouldn't be that difficult.
Your Excellency, it gladdens my heart to hear that. And when the time comes, we'll all jump in to put
I'll
in
let you
our
know,
quota
definitely.
To support. We'll storm Liberia like nobody's business. I know you've shed many tears, some public, some private. And I'd like to give you a copy of my limited edition, the hardcover, special edition of my book. Then I say, When Strong Women Cry.
Wow.
I pray that you read and it will bless you in a way.
And I want to thank you for even writing such a book. When I saw the title on your wall, I was like, wow. Because we do cry.
My wall.
On the,
when you entered.
When I entered, there was a wall with your picture.
I thought you were talking about social media.
I haven't seen it. I'm on, and I have to expand. I'm on Instagram.
Right.
I need to get on Facebook. I'm still terrified of Facebook because the things that come out of there just make you afraid.
Facebook is better than Twitter.
Yes, it is better than Twitter. But this book really touched my heart because the fact of the matter is that women don't get it easy. And I know you have your own stories. But what we must always do, very rarely do you see a man cry. Are they upset? Yes. But they'll smile and act as if it doesn't bother them. We cry because we are emotional creatures. We cry when we hurt. We cry when we are very happy. We cry when we are upset. We cry when we are disappointed. It's a part of being a woman. And it's sad that society requires that when you step up on that stage, you cannot cry because they're linking us to the psychic of the male. And they call us iron. Why do they call us iron women? We are women. That's all. But when they say iron woman, then it makes you have to stiffen your back and to make sure the tears stay right where they are, just until you get into your house or when you get into your car. And then you start to bawl and you cry and it's like, okay, it's going to be all right. But the fact is that we do cry, but it's a part of being human. And I think it makes us keep grounded. It makes us feel things a little bit more. And it drives us because if you see a woman who is really, really, really in a poverty-stricken situation, you feel that empathy. And I think God has given us that for a purpose so that we drive the development, we drive the impact that we make for women to be better and bigger. So there's nothing wrong with crying. It's just that I have never yet. And I think once I was quite upset when I was first lady And I used to tell my sister the tears were like right there. Right there. You would see my eyes glistening, but the tears would never fall. I would be like, God, just help me get to this place. So I cried more as first lady than I did as senator. I was the leader of my county.
Yeah.
I was the senior senator, so my voice was the most important one. So I didn't get a chance to cry as much as I did as first lady. But then I become vice president, and then the tears begin again. People start to say, what is she doing here?
Yeah.
What is her impact? And we're going to make sure that she does nothing. And you have to fight. Yeah. And that is what makes me cry, because it shouldn't be that difficult. Each one should come to the table bringing their full potential. And then the countries are stronger and it grows faster and everyone is satisfied. But the women always have to fight for a voice, have to fight for a space. And I'm praying that I will stay alive long enough to see that change, so that across the African continent, we will be able to equally see a male and a female bringing their very best to the table. This is what our country needs.
And I say amen to that. I also have a gift from Tweenie Crafts. There's those who make my beads. Okay, you take it yourself.
Oh, wow.
They have this bead for you.
Amazing. Oh, wow. Where are they located?
They are in Tema.
Oh, this is amazing.
Oh, I am even saying wow. This is beautiful.
This is beautiful. How do you put it on?
Let me help you. There you go.
Okay.
Open it.
I was looking for that.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So you can wear this long, or you tighten it at the back to make it short. This is beautiful.
This is amazing.
This is beautiful.
Thank you, Tweenie Crafts. I'm going to call you. I have your number.
Yes.
Wow.
This is really wow. I didn't see that coming.
I know. I kept looking at yours.
I'm telling your sister not to spy. She's not getting it. She's not getting it.
Oh, she knows me. I'm like, I got that as a gift. I'm not giving it up. But we can go and visit them.
And then we have this
more gifts.
Yes, from Old Mutual.
You know, I keep hearing you talking about the
Old Mutual
pension plan.
Yeah.
And she's working in an area trying to create this whole system where people are on their digital healthcare platform.
Okay.
And we don't have an insurance company like this that provides, you can pay a down, whatever you can pay down, and then it's divided. We do need it. So
hopefully I will link you up with them. Maybe
they can come and visit.
An amazing. Yes.
Because no one has it, and most times you get a small pension as a government employee, but people who have worked in private businesses need pension.
Exactly.
So this will be an amazing.
You pay the lump sum and you get a percentage every single till life. And then there is this program where if within a certain, between 20 to 25 years, if something happens to you before that period, then your next of kin will benefit.
Oh, amazing.
So there's a spillover to that till that period, ends. That's why
it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. So we're going to have to get to them.
Yes, so we have this for you. And then they essentially, it's raining. So they have an umbrella for you as well. So thank you so much. So before you go, your conclusion, your word to the young woman out there, the woman looking to do something to change, but she's afraid.
And I was afraid as a young girl, afraid of not being in control, afraid of walking into a situation where others would determine the outcome of what I would do, afraid of standing on that stage and saying, I'm available, can you elect me? Afraid of saying, this is possible, I can do better. So being afraid is not a bad reaction. I think it's the body's mechanism for caution. But sometimes you just have to jump in and take that leap of faith. And I always say to young girls, if you believe it, if you can dream it, if you can see it in your mind's eyes, if you are prepared to work it, if you are prepared to go the long haul, day after day, doggedly working and not getting tired, you can see your dreams come true.
Amen.
I got into a situation, as my last story, And I didn't even know where to turn. I wasn't sure if I had made the right choice. And I've gotten elected as vice president. And I sat at my desk one day and said, how do I use this opportunity to better the lives of other women? Because until we rise together in our numbers, our situation will remain the same across the board. And I had to make a choice of sitting back and being the normal vice president, quiet, no noise, or just making waves and making sure people knew that there was a woman in that seat. And I was afraid of what my boss would think. They were already saying, she has such a strong character. She's going to overshadow the president. It's going to be as if she's the president and you're walking behind her. All of these things are being said in the shadows. And so I'm standing and saying, how do I move? How do I do what was necessary to change the dynamics? And I knew that moving in the strength and the belief that I had would have cost me many friends. And indeed, many of the men in the inner circle turned to be my worst critics. And even if there was something very small, they made it look like a mountain.
Yeah.
But my heart was in the fact that this was the very first time a woman had ever been given such an opportunity. So I had to choose fear or choose faith. Those two things can never abide in the same space. You're either afraid and you cower out, or you have faith and you do that which is right. My mother said to me at a very young age, always do what is right and fear nothing but God. And so I decided I would not be fearful, and regardless of the complications of the job that I held, that I would use faith and I would move in that faith. So every single morning, when I came from work, my mind was swaying back and forth. But as soon as I stepped into that office of the vice president, I was going to make every day count. And this is what I did. Knowing that by doing that, I may have opportunities to go to the presidency one day. If I had cowered in fear and just remained silent, they say in the villages, don't go down that road. That is where the women fall. Maybe one woman taking a very heavy bucket of water, too heavy to carry, might have fallen on that route. And then they would tell all of the other women, that's where women follow. So how can the fall of one woman be attributed to thousands of women? But this is the world we live in. So I determined at that stage that I would not be afraid regardless of the consequences. And so when you step out there, whether in business or in politics or in journalism, and now we have voices like yours. Before 20 years ago, no women voices. If you step out, just have a passion for what you do, believe that you can make a difference, and go in there and change your world. It is possible if only you believe and you are willing to walk on fire.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. You're so grateful.
I'm grateful.
Thank you. I'll be back with a bit of me.
When I was in school, all my friends were cultists. All relating with different groups.
Right.
But I refused to be part of what they do.
Yeah.
I said, I have a family cult. If I do any other thing, I will die. I was very blunt. I sat down with them. The other group came, I told them, I said, I have my own. That I'm from a very, strong, traditional family. That we belong, we have a, so if I do it, so let's just be friends.
When you decided that you're going to make this your passion, your mission, your vision, your goal, what were some of the comments you get from your fellow men?
Oh man, woman rapper.
That's our women what?
Woman rapper.
Remember?
Woman rapper.
Women rapper.
Uh-huh.
Like rapper? Women rap you around?
So, amazing thing is that, this life, you just have to do what you are convinced and that gives you joy. For those who were in Calabar with me, you see, if I'm passing and I see you beat your own girlfriend, I don't know both of you, I don't know what happened, but still you maybe molest a woman or your girlfriend, even your sister, I'll fight you. I've never in my life, in my entire life, raised my hand on a woman. But my wife, even before I got
Before you
married,
got
girlfriends, and even my children, or my friends. I've never, no matter what you do, and I grew up like that.
Dear woman, I get you. I get you. I've been there, but I'm still going through that. It's scary. It can really get scary. The name calling, the insult, the bringing back your past, throwing it in your face, the truth, the untruth, the ones you want to forget, but you'll be reminded. But what is it going to be? I had these two words from the former Vice President of Liberia, Her Excellency Joel Howard Taylor. She said, you have two options, fear or faith. Are you going to let fear cow you? Fear is okay. It's normal, it's part of life to be afraid. But are you going to let fear cow you into being a shadow of yourself, into being stagnant, or you are going to take that step of faith, trusting God to see you through it, determined that come what may, come the obstacle, the challenge, the scars, you're willing to sacrifice to make that impact for yourself, for your family, for your society, for your community. It's your choice. What's it going to be? Fear or faith? I remain a woman with super crazy faith in God. So you know the choice I will make. Faith. God has given us wisdom. Thanks for watching. See you same time next week. Bye for now.